Good evening, folks. I'd like to welcome everyone to the June 19th Finance Committee meeting of the City Council. Madam Clerk, if you would please call the roll.
Councilor King. Councilor DeBona. Councilor Finn. Councilor Harris. Councilor LaFarge. Councilor Liang. Councilor Palmucci. Councilor Hughes. Chairman Croall.
Present.
8 members.
8 members. We have a quorum. I'd like to read into the record the open meeting law, which is as follows. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. And as I had mentioned earlier, folks, we're meeting in the Committee of the Whole as the Finance Committee. We do a regular City Council meeting about to start at 7:30, at which point we'll open that up and essentially go back into Finance Committee. But for the record, we wanted to open this up here today, and we will recess the Finance Committee meeting at 7:27.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight is Monday, June 19th at 7:45 in the Great Hall, and we are here at the Quincy City Council meeting. Madam Clerk, if you will call the roll of members.
Councilor King. Councilor Croall. Councilor DeBona. Councilor Finn. Councilor Harris. Councilor LaFarge. Councilor Liang. Councilor Palmucci. President Hughes.
Present.
8 members.
Great, thank you. If you'll all stand and join me in a moment of silence for our servicemen and women serving here and abroad and their families this evening. And if you'll turn and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you would read the open meeting law.
Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, we will recess the regular council meeting and resume with the Finance Committee meeting. Thank you.
This time I would like to call the Finance Committee meeting back to order at 7:32. Councilors, as we all know, we were deliberating in the well last week pertaining to council order for $80 million appropriation in the downtown improvements financing district. We had quite a debate with some takeaway questions. The administration, I want to recognize the strong work of Councilor Gary and also Jennifer Manning, who impressively had those questions out that meeting, which thank you, Jennifer, for that. And obviously, Bill, on your end, for turning that right around. I know that there was a lot of information, there was a lot of spirited dialogue, back and forth. Hopefully that's helped to shape some of the conversation here this evening. Councilors were also afforded the opportunity to engage with, the administration and some of the consultants who join us here this evening. But, Mr. Gary, I'd like to recognize you. I don't know if you have any commentary to add.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and through you to the honorable members of the council. I don't particularly have any commentary to add beyond the answers that I provided last Friday. I understand there may be questions with respect to those answers, and I also thank you for recognizing Jen Manning, because quite candidly, I didn't see her message until the following morning, even though she sent it at 11:15 the prior evening. But I also want to recognize and commend the members of our team, Rob Stevens from the Planning Board, and Wes Wilson from Desmond Associates, Tom Leclerc from Kennedy, and Jim Fatsis. Everyone participated in gathering that information so that we could get it turned around before the weekend, so that we could, the councilors could have an opportunity to review the information and formulate additional questions if they think appropriate.
Thank you, Councilor. I guess before I open it up to members of the body, I was just going through, obviously, some information that was disseminated to us over the weekend. I did have a question. I believe it's you. Is it Ryan Kennedy from Lee County? Could I just... okay, sorry. I saw that.
That's Mr. Leclerc.
Okay. There was an email that came over from Ryan Kennedy, I believe, which was essentially a cost breakout pertaining to the conversation that we had here that evening, which was building subsurface, subterranean versus pulling it up and building it on grid. So I don't know who would answer that question, but
is it on the numbers itself?
Yeah, numbers, theory. This is probably more of a construction question.
Leclerc would be the person. Also, Mr. Wilson can also provide guidance as well.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Leclerc?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how you doing? Welcome. Welcome back. So obviously you're familiar with the information, right? The report that was,
yes, sir.
Is it option 4?
We call it option 4 now, yes.
So option 4, and for me, what I was trying to get an understanding. So obviously, if you put option 3 next to option 4, the delta is roughly, 8 million. I'm using round numbers. So
yes,
from a construction standpoint, when you think about like building a parking garage where the first level is subterranean the proper?
yes,
Okay.
underground.
So when you take that into consideration, like,
Yes.
is there a particular reason why one would opt to do something that way?
That might be better suited by a design professional.
But from a construction standpoint?
It's certainly desirable. From
How
a
so?
speed and the less you're in the ground, the less challenges there are. Certainly, you don't know what's in the ground until you start digging. For instance, it's quicker, certainly, to just put in conventional foundations instead of digging down into the ground. So for both of those reasons, it would be faster.
But I mean, is there a certain level of structural integrity that comes with that, or?
I don't believe so. I mean, both structures would be designed to withstand the forces of nature imposed on them. So.
Correct. Yeah, they both be designed to meet code. Pulling the structure out of the ground will increase the massing, I think, and that's something that we talked about last week. I think looking at the location of the garage relative to Revere Road Parkway, you pull it out of the ground, you're adding another story to the garage, which adds height and mass to it. And I'm a structural engineer, not an architect, and I can tell from doing a number of these parking structures that, in context to the adjoining developments, like planned developments, and also the neighbors across the street, that is a very big point of contention moving forward, and it should be one of the objectives that needs to be balanced with regards to the design itself.
So let me ask you a question, because I think it was from Desmond where the response came.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you mentioned, structurally, it changes the footprint, right? We're going up more. I caught something in an email that was roughly 11. It would be an 11-foot increase around the whole structure.
Right, floor to floor, that's typically what we have, 11 foot.
So 11 feet. That would change option 4 from option 3. It would essentially go up 11 feet.
Coming up one level out of the ground.
So in my mind, I start to process this, right? We're looking at a potential cost savings to the taxpayer of almost $8 million between option 3 and option 4. Parking spaces, I believe, because that would obviously be my objective, we would concede 3 spaces going from option 4 from option 3. I think we're correct. So 3 parking spaces, 11 feet, which is, I kind of go through that mentally, it's essentially the size of a basketball hoop, right, visually. And we save close to $8 million.
That's correct. But as I said before, I think a lot of objectives have to be understood moving forward with regards to the size of the garage. Parking garages are very large structures. And, you know, what I showed.
Please, yeah, by all means.
This is a good example of where we're at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you take those top 2 levels, that would be a relative size of the garage out of the ground facing Revere Road, where I think the 2 adjacent developments are going to be in that vicinity of height. Ideally, if you could carry it down 1 level, that's going to reduce the massing. But this is what you'd have. You'd have a 3-bay garage, 1, 2, 3. If I take that off, and you in that level, that's what the height would be. Without a doubt, there's a cost savings pulling out of the ground.
Without, and I think this is important because I looked at it, would be a cost savings in terms of the actual structural footprint. You would not compensate anything from an aesthetic standpoint as it's outlaid between option 3 and option 4. So visually, right, the money that we're going to invest in the building, I get it's going to be a story higher, but you're not compromising essentially the look, right? It's not going to be, right, I think we used this word last meeting, it's stone cold appearance.
The architectural sensitivity, yes.
Thank you.
There is definitely going to make an effort, and there is within the budget, the parking garage, to maintain a certain amount of architectural sensitivity for the facade.
So again, the difference, option 3, option 4, cost savings, called $7.5 million. You're going up basically a basketball court, basketball hoop size. You're compensating, or you're conceding 3 spaces.
That's correct.
Okay. I want to process that. I know the gentleman behind you is looking to maybe engage. So.
Thank you, Councilor. If I could add to that, again, Jeff Fassler with the BSD Group. And in addition to helping the team with the urban renewal process and urban renewal plan, we were also asked to look at the urban design elements of the Hancock lot as well as a larger downtown area. So prior to Desmond really getting engaged with the design of this, one of the things we did is from an urban design perspective is look at the massing of the garage, as Mr. Wilson has referred to. So we looked at the heights of the garage relative to the lot itself, the abutting properties that are there now that are expected to remain, the properties that are expected to be built on that lot, and try to get a balance of the massing of the garage relative to those proposed projects so that the garage didn't overwhelm the space. We want the development, the residential buildings, the commercial buildings to really be the buildings that dominate that space, especially since we're creating that new civic space in the middle of the Hancock lot. And if the garage overpowers that, it takes away from the feeling of pedestrian comfort and the aesthetics of that space. So we were going through this urban design process. We looked at a number of what we call 3D models of massing of the structure, depending on how many stories above ground, and if we went 1 story below ground, how much would that decrease the massing? And at that point, the team decided that there was a balance between kind of the urban design, what we're trying to create there to be an inviting public space, as well as inviting to the neighborhoods around it, as well as, you know, the cost of the garage. So I understand the cost difference, but there was also a thought process related to the urban design and the visual impact of this garage to that new development site being the Hancock lot.
Do you subscribe to the line of reasoning that in terms of placement it will not directly but be within, you know, a chip shot away from a 15-story building? I'm only asking that because you say overwhelming. Mm-hmm. Right, we went through this last meeting. Is 11 feet additional for $7.5 million cost savings, where no structural integrity is compromised. That's what I heard. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not an expert, but I can talk about this enough where I'm getting a better understanding. Is 11 feet sort of the tipping point
Again, it's relative. You mentioned the 15-story building, which is not directly abutting the garage. So relative to that structure, the extra story may not make much of a difference because that structure still has views from all sides of the building. But when you look at buildings such as, I call it the LBC project, which is a lower building, again, which is not right adjacent to it, but that size building is similar to what was built as the West of Chestnut project. That kind of massing of building, which is, I think it's 5 stories of residential over 2 stories of pedestal, we call it, so a 7-story building. You know, an extra story of a garage next to a building like that does make a difference because you want to get those residential units above the height of the parking garage as much as possible because then they become much more marketable.
Right. Understood. I know the part of the LDA agreement, and I'm just going to paraphrase until you kind of tell me if I'm on the right path or not. But essentially, part of the original LDA agreement was that this garage design would come back to the city council, right? So we're talking about here this evening basically an authorization for $80 million, which is going to give you folks in the team an opportunity to kind of use the summer, come up with a final design, and come back to the city council.
That is correct.
So as I kind of go through this and ponder where I'm at between option 3 and option 4, when you come back to the city council, is there going to be basically a below grade and an above grade option and presented to us?
Looking at that would increase the cost of design because essentially you have to design 2 different garages. So that's the feedback that I've gotten from our people. We, at this juncture, believe that the size and in the comments that were made by both Mr. Thatcher and Mr. Wilson, the massing is generally a key issue for neighbors because it's this big building. It's not just the height. It's not only the height. It's just the whole mass of it, and it runs from Revere Road to a point that's 3/4 of the way through the lot. So it is close, and the civic space is breathing space, so to speak. And so you want a scale that when you're in that space, you don't want all 15-story buildings. You want some diversity, but the bulk of the buildings will be 5 stories. And as Mr. Thatcher said, you want to try to get that up. So as to our ability to design 2 separate structures over the course of the summer would be a costly proposition.
So the answer is basically no, right? And it's okay. I just want to understand procedurally,
yes,
you know,
what we hope to do over the summer is engage in further outreach to the community, to, as I mentioned last week, to solicit their input as to the features in the civic space, as to the facade that will drape the garage, the historic context. We talked about that at the community meeting we had a week or so ago, and actually people were favorably impressed. And I've been to other garage meetings where the principal concern for a lot of people, of course, are traffic as well as how it's going to look, what the mass of it will be. So it's not, and you're correct in your line of questioning as to the structural integrity. They'll build, they're not going to build something that doesn't have the requisite structural integrity.
I didn't know how that worked.
Yeah, but it's the really the differentiator in some ways, and we talked about this a little bit before the meeting this evening as we were looking at some of these options, is the bare bones type of garage that you see that you would, to get that economy of scale, the per space economy of square footage scale is the kind of garage you might see at a suburban mall or a suburban shopping center or a suburban office park, often toward the back of the the park itself, whereas the type of interest that we're getting for downtown Quincy is from many organizations that are currently out on 128, want to come into a historic city and be enlivened by the activity within that city, obviously the close access to transit options and, of course, to Boston. And that's sort of the market that, and particularly in the case of Fox Rock, that's the market that they will be marketing to. So we want to have a scale, an urban scale that is consistent with the city's urban scale and the historic buildings that make up our downtown.
Completely understand with, for me, like, this parking garage is the number one priority. I mean, some would even argue it probably should have been built first. I understand, but everybody wants a parking garage, and everybody wants to get it correct. I'm going to kind of open it up to my council members, but here's where my mind's at. And understand about creating something that is cohesive to the neighborhood. But what we're talking about here is an increased height of 11 feet. And the savings, I'm just using round numbers, it's a little less, but $8 million. It's almost $1 million a foot. It's a lot of money, right? And as we think about community values, I mean, I understand the financials completely support the $80 million. They do. But think about it from the perspective of if it was $8 million less in terms of your debt obligation, with the current taxpayers, so the people who are already here, would they realize any savings any quicker? And I guess that's kind of the debate that, I will continue to work through here this evening. But that's, I look at option 3 and option 4, and those numbers just really jumped off the page. So, Council Palmucci, Council Yang.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Bill, for getting the additional information. I know it was short turnaround time, so I appreciate that. Came here today, woke up this morning, ready to buy a garage, Bill. I'm in the buyer's mode, right? And when I finally saw this today, because we had some technical difficulties over the weekend with me being able to open up the PDF. But when I saw this, I was actually thrilled. It's great. This seems to be far more in line. Option number 4 seems to be far more in line with the numbers that I was talking about from some of the industry studies for the Boston area, price per square foot. A little bit more, but that's understandable given what you folks had said about construction market and time and whatnot. So I feel like I'm all in for option 4, right? I think that makes perfect sense. That's what I was driving at on Thursday night with many of my questions, and that the whole discussion about balancing the taxpayers' expenditure in the downtown versus what the downtown needs to grow. I don't know that you'll find anyone who disagrees with the premise that we need a garage downtown, and it should be a high quality garage, a safe garage, and it should be aesthetically pleasing and be a cohesive piece of the fabric of the neighborhood. So I think we're all on the same page with those thoughts. It seems, though, that where the rubber meets the road between option number 3 and option number 4, I have a difference of opinion with the administration. Again, you're talking about a significant, you're not losing many spaces, 3 spaces, that's negligible, and it's a significant price difference. You go from, you go from what you had presented us, which is 116 square feet, $116 per square foot. When we talked about on Thursday, the national average is $57 per square foot, and the Boston average is $67 per square foot. The budget, the square foot per square foot cost for option number 3 is $116 per square foot versus $87 per square foot for option number 4, without the loss of spaces. Because that was a big concern that you folks had expressed on Thursday, was it's going to change the building, the structure. You're going to lose a lot more spaces. And I was thrilled to see that you didn't. I mean, we did when they actually put the pen to paper show that we wouldn't. And I get that, you know, what Wes had said, the neighbors across the street are an important consideration, and I don't discount that. But again, Councilor Croall's question was, do we lose any of the aesthetics between option 3 and 4? And the answer was no. You can still build an aesthetically pleasing garage in option number 4, which is $8 million cheaper. I don't know that it makes a lick of difference whether or not it's, you know, an extra 11 feet higher when it's next to a 15-story building. I mean, the difference in those sizes. And not once did I hear anybody, even back with Streetworks, talk about this great concern of how the aesthetics were going to look to the folks on Revere Road when we were contemplating raising the cap on the height of the buildings. I think this body's done it twice during the pendency, maybe another time before I was here, but when I was here, when we signed the LDA with Streetworks, we raised it, I want to say to 10 or 12, and then when the O'Connor project was contemplated, I think we raised it again to 15. Not once did anyone say, well, we have to consider the aesthetics of the folks who live on Revere Road. I don't recall that coming in, but now when it's an $8 million difference in garage, suddenly that's the only thing. And correct me if I'm wrong, is that not the only difference? Other than you save $8 million, you lose 3 spaces. That's the only difference, is the massing and how it will aesthetically look in 11 feet, right?
It's principally the massing. Unlike the O'Connell building, now obviously a 15-story building will be visible from everywhere around the perimeter, but it's not directly across the street from the residential community on the other side of Revere Road. There would be also potential issues as to, because you're going up a story, there's more spaces on the underground portion, and you go up a story. So if whatever we determine to do through consultation with the community and with this body for you to review, the facade is exactly that. It's a facade. So you're going to increase the elements to the facade if you go up further to gain those spaces that are currently underground. And those are the issues that we've been concerned about, is that and it's probably, we had actually talked about, Mr. Fash has done 3D modeling, but we've also, we had talked about doing an actual model, because the garages are large structures, and since it's going to be located with a community surrounding it, it becomes the centerpiece if you don't handle it correctly architecturally. And we don't want a big hulking garage to become the centerpiece for what we hope will be a revitalized civic space for the residents of the city.
But that's why we're paying Wes the big bucks.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to make sure it's not a big hulking garage. There's a guy who has a favorite garage. I mean, I'm glad we have him on the team. I'm glad we have a garage aficionado who's going to make sure that regardless of what we build, I'm saying I have confidence in the team that regardless of whether it's option 3 or option 4 and there's an extra 11 feet on it or not, that he's going to make it look good, that he's going to make it look the best it possibly can be. So I'm less concerned about that. Now let me get into, and I know you have your marching orders tonight. You're doing what you're doing, but we're really not going to determine anything through consultation on the garage, right? I mean, the decision's been made.
On the what?
On the garage. Option 3 versus 4.
In terms of its footprint and size?
Option 3, in terms of option 3 versus option 4.
The administration is advocating for option 3.
Okay. So I'm going to throw out probably a series of things. I'm going to ask a couple more questions and turn it over to my colleagues, but at some point before we take a vote, I might throw out a couple of possibilities for things to do tonight. And I'll tell you where I'm coming from. There's no surprise here. I prefer option number 3. Okay, if that wasn't painfully obvious. I prefer option number 3. I think saving the taxpayers $8 million and getting a very similarly aesthetically pleasing garage without losing spaces. Visually the same, look not compromised is the notes I wrote down from Wes. That to me is worth the savings of $8 million. So I'm going to push for that end, okay? And I'm concerned, again, I came here tonight to buy a garage, okay, to fund the garage. And I want to do that. I want to move this forward. I think it's important for any developer who's looking at the downtown now, looking at buildings and working something in their head. I think it's important for this body to say we're committed to building the public infrastructure necessary. It's not just the garage, it's also the public infrastructure, right? I think it's important to take that step so you guys have the whole team has the summer to work on putting things together, and more developers will come in and talk to Mr. Fatsis and the mayor about visions on other projects. So I think we need to move the ball forward. So my goal is to move the ball forward. I just don't want to move the ball forward in the direction that you want to. So we'll see and I'm just one guy. I mean, the thing might pass 8-1 a different way, but I'm going to do what I can do to try and push it in this direction tonight. So let me first ask you, how much runway do you need between now and September for everything else other than the garage in terms of funding? Or is that too difficult to tease out?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need the full $80 million. It's not like you're going to take out a bond in the next 3 months, equivalent amount of $80 million. This is long-term stuff that we're looking at here, long-term work, right?
This is long-term work. We do have a number of schedules that we want to achieve, and so certainly, for example, the land taking that was submitted as part of this proposal is sort of like the precursor, because there are timelines associated with that. Also, there's timelines associated with the construction of the garage. We've indicated that we want to commence construction at the beginning of 2018.
So something like that, the other infrastructure work, I'm happy to vote. And again, this is just my vote. I'm not speaking for my colleagues, but I'm happy to vote on all that funding tonight so that you guys have runway to keep working. But my hope is, I feel like myself in the administration position are at odds right now. And we'll see what our colleagues think about saving $8 million in exchange for 11 feet in an already very high garage. But I want to find a pathway forward here. So if folks want to, if we as a body feel that $8 million is worth saving, and trading off for 3 spaces and 11 feet, then I want to be able to work through, and we'll come back to this, work through a way that you guys can still move forward while we continue to hash out perhaps what may be a difference on option 3 versus option 4 in the administration and the council positions. But on that same line, what's the point? And I don't say this to be, like cute about it, but what's the point of us voting again on the design of the garage if the garage design is determined between tonight and when we next see you? Do you know what I'm saying? So like what Councilor Finney pointed out at the last meeting is, well, the design's going to come back to us, but at that point, we're already in it for probably a couple $1 million or something in terms of design, and then we're already, both time and money has been spent. I have a feeling you're going to say to us, well, that would be going back to the starting point if we pushed option 3 at a later date and not tonight. All right. So what's your take on that?
Well, as you're correct in stating that the design will come back, but the other elements of that design, including the civic space, are all elements that we will be refining during the course of the summer. But if we were to have to go into design structural design between the two, and maybe Mr. Wilson will want to comment on that. And as for the savings, because I did the same calculus, I'm sure everybody did, but that you and the chairman have referenced, some of that savings, that $8 million savings, there could be a trade-off as to the facade, as to other elements that would be altered, if you will, from the approach that we're recommending.
And I think a good way to think about it too is the difference between option 3 and option 4 is more of a functional component of the design, not so much the architectural component of the design, because the two functions, the below grade, above grade, that's more of, like I said, it's how the garage operates from a functional standpoint.
So you need to know that for your design work for the next 3 or 4 months.
Absolutely, and that affects our structural analysis.
Right.
It affects our foundations. It affects a lot of different components of the garage. And for us to effectively move forward with the design, that component of the design, we need to have a decision on either option 1 or option 2. As I
Option
said,
3 or option 4.
3 or 4,
right.
sorry. Okay. We could move ahead forward with both designs, but now it's a duality of effort. And with the duality of effort comes a duality of costs and everything else from a design perspective.
Right.
I think what would be put in front of you next time around is once we got the functional aspect of it and the foundations, which nobody's going to care whether it's a 10 by 10 or 12 by 12 footing is below ground, you start getting into, as Mr. Geary indicated, the amenities, the facade elements, the civic space, and things of those elements. And that's, I think, going to be would be the next presentation as far as, what are these elements? Then you're going to have, again, more options to look at.
But and I know it's probably not your place in terms of what the LDA says, but if we're getting another vote, by that point we're really too far to say no, right? I mean, the council in 4 months gets presented with the designs, we say no. That's not a real option, is what I'm saying. At that point,
well, hopefully the functional component, whether it's above grade or below grade, that decision has been made, so we can start running in that direction. The other elements that I think you're going to see in the end of the summer are going to be more of the articulation of the facade. The civic space, what are we doing in the civic space? How are we treating those spaces?
And that makes perfect sense. So
you can have alternatives of those to make the decision on. And I think that's part of the process.
So the way forward, we have to somehow tonight authorize option 3 or option 4 in order for the design phase to move forward.
For us to move forward as designers, yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's helpful. A couple other quick questions. Tell me what the maintenance cost per year is for the proposed.
Which garage? 3 or 4?
Well, I'd love both if you have one.
Yeah.
4's the
option 3 is going to be slightly higher because
it is because you're underground, right? You got to move the air.
MEP systems, yep. You got the sprinkler systems; that's going to be higher.
So it's perhaps not just the $8 million in construction costs that you're saving, but over the longevity and lifespan of, I think you had said 75 years. 70 years you opened the garage would last.
75, 80 years. Some of them, like I said, my favorite garage is going to be 100. Downtown Boston is going to be 120, 24.
So there's also that consideration in terms of
that's correct.
Longevity of costs. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll defer to my colleagues. I just want to say this, Mr. Chairman, that I was trying to think of this when I got the numbers today. I was running through the head what that money means, right? $8 million is a big difference. Not only does that ensure more money to make sure that the garage is maintained in the future to a standard that won't leave us in a position where a future council is voting to tear it down like we did with the Ross garage, but also when I spoke at the Thursday meeting about this balance of what else we can do with taxpayer money. Yeah, it's in the DIF district, but the money that we don't use that's in the DIF district comes back for all of us as residents of the city. It gets spread throughout the city for infrastructure and other uses. And I got to thinking about the Sterling. The costs for us, for the city, with our 26% input on the cost of the Sterling, is $15 million. We are building a new middle school in West Quincy for an expenditure from the city of $15 million. So when you're talking about an $8 million difference, that gets you halfway to something like a brand new middle school. And I know, we have great schools in the city of Quincy. A lot of them need some work, but we're building new schools. But just in terms of the magnitude of the difference between option 3 and option 4, that gets you a lot of infrastructure throughout the city, not just in downtown, that $8 million. It's half a new school right there in one vote that we take. So I thank you, Mr. Chairman. I may have some questions at the end.
And I think it's, for all you visual learners, when we're talking about the height increase, like literally the basketball hoop, $8 million, we're basically putting a basketball hoop on top of what's presented today. Real money, adult money. Council Leanne.
Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Mr. Gary. How are you?
Good evening, Council.
So I don't disagree with my two colleagues who have spoken and talked about the need for this garage. I mean, we want to see the growth of commercial development, to help offset the residential tax base. We want to see the downtown thriving, but with all of that comes this demand for parking that already exists, let alone 5-10 years from now when everything is filled up in the downtown and is used. So I do want to do this. I do want to move forward with it, but I just want to make sure that we do it right and that we do it together with the residents, with the business owners, with the administration and the councilors all together moving forward. So that being said, I moved into my first sort of comment on this is the mitigation and communication with the residents and with the business owners. I know Councilor Boris touched upon the content of communication and the need for it at Thursday's meeting, but and you had replied to in your email about some of the steps that you guys want to take moving forward to help engage the community in this process. I just want to dive into something specifically when it comes to the parking situation during construction. You talked a lot about promoting the businesses in the area, how to get notices out and updates out to people. But with the parking structure, during construction, how do you plan on bringing in feedback from that and adjusting it as it moves? Because we have something that we'd like to implement. The sheet here says that it's going to be 1,310 spaces that will be out there during the construction period. But for whatever reason, if when that starts and all the construction starts, again, for whatever reason that parking structure just doesn't work or we need to move things around, how do we plan on sort of getting that feedback and then changing things as it goes?
Well, as I mentioned in my reply, we do plan on conferring with the business community and with the adjacent communities more aggressively. We at the last meeting talked about the need for a hotline, a phone line. Several of the councilors referenced the line that's been set up for the Fort River Bridge lane closures. Social media, obviously, we're going to be more engaged with social media. We're going to try to get as much information out in real time. As I mentioned, we'll be activating and have already activated electronic signs, but we will have fixed signs. But we intend to be speaking with the business owners, for example, about putting information on their websites that will direct their patrons to available parking. Likewise, we want to engage with social media, engage directly with their employees on strategies where their employees may park at a location other than where their customers would be parking. The courthouse is underutilized at the present time, and as I said in my reply, we understand that we will be phasing out 150 spaces during the course of this summer on a phased basis, but that we believe there is available inventory within those 1,310 spaces to absorb those vehicles. The real crunch will come at the beginning of next year, in January, February, when we would hope the construction could start on the garage, and we're going to have to augment that supply, and we are engaged in a number of strategies, including talking with private parties that have some parking inventory available that could be utilized both in the day and the evening. So it's going to require us to bring new tools to that effort.
And I think that's great that we're going to do a phased period before next year when the construction starts, because that's a prime opportunity to go back and say, okay, we phased out 150 spaces. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? What can be improved upon? And if we can make sure to be proactive about that, I think moving forward, it's going to be a headache regardless, but we can try to minimize that as much as possible. You talked about the dedicated phone line, the hotline. I'm just going to vent for a second here as well, because I remember when I was working in the downtown and the construction had just started probably 4 or 5 years ago, when a water line would break at 10:30 and I had to open up at 11 o'clock, I would get directed to probably 5 different people because every person I called would do one of these, it's not me, it's them, it's not me, it's them. And before I knew it was 12 o'clock and we still didn't have any answers. And it's not to say that accidents don't happen, we have a very old infrastructure, so there's maps that are provided to us, and we have to go based off the information we're given, and it's simply incorrect or it's outdated. So it happens, and I understand that it's going to happen moving forward. But again, that sort of, you call one number, you get directed to 15 different people. It becomes very frustrating when you're under a time crunch to get some answers. So will that hotline be that one-stop shop, regardless of what work is being done, whether it's gas lines being worked on, the water lines, electric lines?
Yes, we hope that will be the case. We've had issues that arose as a result of work that was being done that wasn't, particularly a city project or even part of the downtown revitalization. It might have been just an end grid or...
Oh, no, absolutely. We saw that happen all the time where, you see Comcast out here or something. It has nothing to do with the city. But
right.
To me, as a business owner, it was just, well, it's happening in the downtown. It must be downtown
right.
related.
And we do want to have a team that's able to interact right away with the utilities. We've had ongoing meetings with them on these issues. As you know, we've had folks in Woodard and Curran who are on the street. Tom Russo, everybody knows in terms of his updates, but he's out on the street every day talking to the business owners and trying to keep them apprised of when particular projects that are city inspired are going to be happening and try to work with them to minimize the disruption to their particular business. Likewise, we've had other workers going from business to business, and so we do intend on stepping up that activity as we get closer to the construction that's going to start soon. Actually, demolition is going to start soon on the LVC block. And through the summer, we want to work with those employers and those business owners in that particular vicinity to, step up our game.
That's great. And then so just moving on from that then to, again, more logistics on this. So you mentioned that we want construction to start in the beginning of next year, so let's say, for argument's sake, January. Moving back from that, I know Councilor Palmucci asked a little bit as far as the timeline of what you guys have to do in the next 3 months in the summer, but let's say construction starts in January. Moving back from that, where are the timelines for, here are the final plans for engineering, here is the final date that we can get financing in, here is the last week for, community input. Do you guys have a structure from today until the beginning of the construction that you sort of say, okay, end of July we need to have, all input in for the facade, or, end of August we need to get all of our financing. Do you guys have a structure of that so that, again, we can all just be a part of that and understand what's to come?
Yes, we are going to create that structure, working with our consultants, working with Woodard and Curran, of course, and with Desmond, BFC, so that we can involve all the stakeholders, of course, including the council, so that we can have those meetings and still stay on track as to the structural component of the building. That's the key. That's what requires the work that Desmond Associates does, the engineering issues. We've been able to advance it over the course of the last year to preliminary design based upon a number of factors, including looking at what we need by way of capacity. The capacity, over the years varied in terms of projections that were available at those particular times. And now we're at 730 spaces, which we believe is the right capacity. And we're able to achieve that somewhat by expanding the footprint in just 4 feet to gain some extra spaces. So we will continue to tweak it, but for us to be able to start construction when we're projecting, we need to be, heading toward a final design as to the structure and its capacity.
To that extent, again, I think it would just be helpful to have sort of construction milestones leading into January in the areas that you're going to be updating and posting notices, and just, again, this is and it's a living timeline, right? It's going to change as things happen, and we get a freak snowstorm or something in the summer. I don't know, anything, right? It just to have that structure to say, okay, this is the date that we anticipate to have the absolute final design. This is the date we have the final design on the facade. This is the final date that we can go back in front of the council to ask for or to approve that design. I mean, do you guys have an idea right now as to when you plan on coming back in front of the council for that? Is it going to be first in September? Is it going to be in November to get ready for December? Do we have an idea of what that looks like right now?
We're hoping to be, one of the advantages we have here is this is design build. So the involvement of the Kennedy Company, which is going to be the company that's going to build this, both in terms of developing with Desmond a design, is a methodology for fast tracking this. So in the fall, we are hoping to be back here to show timelines. Certainly, for example, I know that Mr. Casey, who represents Mr. O'Connor, they can essentially project a timeline almost for every day of construction. And so we want to bring that information to the public as quickly as possible, and that, of course, includes this body.
And again, I think it'd be great if we could have that rough timeline up there just to say, we're working on engineering plans, or we're working on the architecture, or we're doing infrastructure work, or, we're projected to go back in front of the council this date. Again, just even not a timeline during construction, but even before.
Yes.
Just so we're all on the same page on as to what steps are happening and what's to come. For the garage, just now talking about the revenue that we're looking at, I know, again, we're still talking about the design phase, but once it is up and running, what are we anticipating for the revenue? Have you looked at what our percentages for net profit that we want to see coming in every day or every month from the garage?
Well, that's another aspect of the funding that we've been seeking is, and Councilor Palmucci spoke to this actually last Thursday.
Spoke to everything.
You did indeed. That a comprehensive plan for traffic and parking management in the city, but let's focus on the parking management component, includes the interplay of these public street spaces that we've talked about in terms of meters. We need to put together a revenue plan, and that's one of the aspects that we want Desmond to work with us on, is to look at what revenue we need to extract, if you will, from that garage that keeps us competitive. We know we're going to be more competitive than Boston or Cambridge or Somerville, for example, but we need to find that sweet spot as to generating revenue. The financial projections of RKG on the DIF did not include a number. And so they've been very conservative, but it did not include a number for the revenue generated by the garage. So we would like to have that, and as part of the plan for how to manage the facility properly. And as has been stated, part of that balance is a maintenance plan for the garage, to know what it's going to cost to maintain it and to staff it. We do want it staffed. We don't want an abandoned structure. We want folks to have the sense of safety and security that comes from having a garage that has personnel there around the clock. And so we've looked at strategies as to how to do that. But key ingredient is coming up with the right formula for generating revenue there. That's going to not discourage patronage, but encourage it.
Of course, yeah, I just want to make sure that we exhaust all benefits possible. I mean, not only are we going to be moving parking off of the side street here and creating more parking, but if, there is that significant revenue that we can pull in, yes. I'd love to see that exhausted as well. So I think that pretty much covers it. Again, that timeline, if we can work on getting that, yes. up and running on that. You had said that there's going to be an expanded page on the city's website. If we can get that up on notifications, what we're anticipating from basically today throughout the summer to the date of construction, that would be wonderful. Just so, again, we can all just stay on the same page as to what we're going to expect throughout the summer months and going into the fall.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor.
Yeah, Council Finney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sitting here reflecting, thinking that as a legislator, the last thing I want to be deeply engaged with is design specifically, but I can understand people's concerns as it relates to the fiscal side of things. But I was looking back again through the LDA. And I just want to walk through this because there's a section that occurs just under the certain index of certain operative definitions. And one of it includes the adoption of the authorization to build the garage and its appurtenance pursuant to a guaranteed maximum price GMP contract and the adoption of a bond authorization to fund the construction thereof. So we have two components to that, correct? That was correct. Have we had a guaranteed maximum price contract presented to us or come before this body at this point?
You have not.
No. And so as you're moving forward with design, as we move forward with this, any person on this body who is not happy with that design certainly could vote in the negative on any of that contract as it comes before us. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement.
Right. So again, it's granted that, we're authorizing money, but we're authorizing a bond that's covering a lot more specifically than the garage at the present moment.
That's right.
So the idea that we are out of the picture if we simply authorize the bond, in my mind, still it's not quite accurate. So that if you're coming back with the design specifically that's associated with this guaranteed maximum price contract, and I'm not sure how many people are going to be that greatly disturbed by it at any point. But the bottom line, if you're not happy with it, you vote against it. That's correct. Now, the other thing, just to be clear, is that, and again, I don't know if there's plans to offer any amendments or whatever, but if at this point, right now, at this moment, with this bond authorization, if you're not happy with the initial concepts that are being presented here this evening, you're free to vote against it, correct?
That is correct.
So, part of it is we negotiated in many respects, right, this land disposition agreement in pretty well good faith. I don't see anywhere in it where it talks about the city council, should have, complete and total input into design specifically.
Right.
And yet there's a great deal of level of certain points in all of this where we should simply vote how we feel. And if we feel it's too risky, that difference, then we should vote no about that. Just out of curiosity, are there any estimates in terms of design and architectural costs? They would be so-called soft costs, correct? Roughly, what's the estimate if you were to do this kind of bilateral type of design and concept moving forward? What would roughly that cost be in terms of soft costs? Can anybody give an estimate as to what that might be?
I'd have to defer to Mr. Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not just a matter of cost; it's a matter of time too.
Right.
Because now you need to have two teams working on doing a dual design of the lateral framing system and the structural, the foundation, things of that nature. Cost-wise, it's hard to put a number on it, but If I'm just going to throw something out there, $500,000, just grabbing things out of the air.
Right, and of course, there's a certain amount of pre-designed stuff that's gone into this already.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Again, I think we've debated this thing endlessly. Personally, and again, I respect people's concerns around the cost, but I'm very hesitant to get into, specific design issues as it relates to this. I clearly believe we are at a point where we should simply vote this up or down, and based on how you feel is what your vote should be. I'd certainly we spent enough time on Tuesday going through the various design components and discussions of this, and I think people have had some of their questions that are answered to it. I think you vote no because that's what you believe, and if that's sufficient to carry the day, then people's got to come back with a different concept, I suppose. At the same point in time, if you're moving forward at a later date with this GMP contract and people are still not happy and think that it's too much, then there's another opportunity at that point in time to vote no. That's what we do. We're the legislators. We're not the executive branch. That design, conceptualization, that belongs there. We're here to vote as best we can in terms of meeting what we might consider our fiduciary responsibility to be. But again, I think we've discussed this sufficiently. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council Finn. Any further discussion or comments or anything relating to the parking garage? Council Leanne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Really quickly, and I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but I just want to make sure I'm not misunderstanding and that I'm hearing this correctly and that I'm interpreting it correctly, is that in Council Finn, you just spoke on this, but I'm just trying to clarify. Whatever the design is and whatever the final engineering and the cost and all of that is going to be, before shovel can hit the ground, that needs to come back in front of the council again, correct? The garage, the design, the cost, everything that's associated with it, before shovel even hits the ground, it has to come back in front of the council again, even though those funds are included in this vote tonight, correct? I'm just reiterating this and just saying it for my own sake to make sure I'm understanding this, that with the garage, with the design, the final design, the final engineering, the construction plan, cost, all of that, before shovel hits the ground, has to come back in front of the council again, correct?
It will be back before the council, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments, discussion for Mr. Gary, team?
The $80 million authorization pass.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to move approval on $80 million appropriation, which is Council Order 2017-073. On the motion.
I would move that we amend the language to include any parking structure funded by this order shall be for an above-ground structure only. I think that's consistent with option number 3, which would save the taxpayers $8 million. I just don't know how we wouldn't further explore that option. My preference would be that we not have to decide this at this point, but it seems like, given the timeline in front of us, it needs to be decided. And I don't see how, if there's no loss of the aesthetics, if you're talking about 11 feet, to save the taxpayers $8 million, and that's the only difference, I don't see how we would go forward with option 3 and not option 4 to save that $8 million for folks. So I put that in the form of a motion.
It's just a point of clarification. It's option 4. I know you said 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Option 4 is consistent with option 4. I was looking at option 2. Consistent with option 4, which is an all above ground garage. Can you just repeat, please, your the amendment would be adding the language to Council Order 2017-73. Any parking structure funded by this order shall be for an all above grade structure only.
And if I may, any further discussion on that motion? I absolutely, and I get it, the sequencing, and do want to point out the hard work from the team, but I have to say, I do think we should explore that option 4 a little more closely, because the reality is, you're giving up 3 parking spaces. You're not compromising. The line items carry $1 million invested in the facade in both proposals. You're going up 11 feet, and close to $8 million is a real savings. So we are voting before Council Force.
On the motion. On the amendment on the motion. Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Geary. Councilor Finn previously mentioned the LDA that we have passed through this body. Can you explain to me or clarify relative to the garage construction, because it is happening concurrent with the O'Connor project, and part of which the design and the build is happening concurrent. It's my understanding that it was language relative to the garage construction was provided in the LDA, and I'm just looking for an explanation of consistency of what was previously before us and what's pending here now. If you could please clarify.
Yes. In looking at the language, which I haven't looked at before this evening or in preparation for this evening, it was contemplated that, and this is the reason Kennedy is the contractor, that the O'Connor project and the garage would be built by the same contractor for a variety of efficiencies that have been mentioned in prior testimony. And Mr. Stevens just showed me language that references specifically the foundation, the basement of the O'Connor building. That foundation would be built simultaneously with the foundation for the garage, and the LDA does reference that there would be an underground component to the garage that interfaces with the O'Connor building. So the language of the LDA that was approved does include the subterranean component as an element of the garage project.
And so then why then was the option provided with above ground only?
Because Councilor Palmucci asked for it.
Subsequent to his request, the numbers were then provided. It wasn't, this option was not on the deck prior to.
It was not one of the options. We looked at various options, but that was not one of the options for.
Prior to the LDA, I mean, the garage discussion and the planning has been underway for a while. Yes. And at that point, it's always been contemplated at underground.
Yes.
Seeking a cost savings, Council Palmucci asked for an alternate option.
That's
we
correct.
Provided that homework and the information that's requested.
That is correct.
However, the commitment that this body made through the LDA process incorporated an underground level.
Yes.
So we would then, if potentially walking through the legality of us, if it was to be voted, let's say the $8 million, would then in what legally what would that do for the O'Connor project? We're then in.
It was a part of the LDA that both parties agreed made sense for cost savings and for expeditious construction. Obviously, Mr. O'Connor, would have cause that the agreement is different from the agreement that he agreed to.
So we would be the non-compliant party at that point. Correct. And the O'Connor garage construction went through the home rule process. I mean, this has been a long contemplated that the developer.
That is correct.
While I do appreciate the opportunity to save the taxpayer $8 million, I don't think I can support this amendment to then put us in a negative position relative to the project that has long invested before us. When we this body made this commitment prior that it would have the underground structure. I think the time to make that amendment was prior to that discussion.
That's correct.
We understand the design. There's still a lot of homework to be done on the design process, but I will not be supporting the amendment. Thank you.
Well, Forrest, just for the record, in this deliberation over I think this is phase 3, right, the third deliberation. This is when the actual rubber met the road and we were presented with cost projections. Correct? Council Palmucci.
Thank you, Bill. A couple questions for you. This is all new information. I'm rather surprised that it wasn't brought up in the 3 hours of questions surrounding a lesser expensive alternative that always contemplated above ground only that we had Thursday, nor was it accompanied in your emails to the councilors on Friday or in any of our discussions today that we had about the above ground option. So again, I feel like we're shooting from the hip here. You know, this is like giving us a report that references 116 unit hotel space that's going to be built in the downtown, where it's just factually, the ground's always shifting here. We ask questions, we're about to take a vote, now the ground's shifted. Okay, now it's, when we first had this discussion Thursday, had someone said, well, no, you'd be in breach of the LDA if you built an above ground only garage, that would have ended the discussion, I think. I mean, I certainly wouldn't have pushed it forward if that was the information I was provided with, but I wasn't. You could see why this is difficult to take at this late hour, and there's a motion on the floor. It's baffling to me. So this was discussed with Attorney Shea. Option 4 was discussed with Attorney Shea, the City Council's attorney for the in the downtown process. Because he's not here tonight, so I can't ask my attorney whether or not what you're telling me is true or not. He is here?
The LD, I did not discuss the LDA with Attorney Shea. I did speak with Attorney Shea, however, a couple of times. And we did not discuss the LDA, and I apologize to you and the body. I concentrate on answering the questions, and the provision in the LDA, it slipped my mind, to be candid with you, when I was concentrating on everything else. But I just looked at it, and now it refreshes my memory.
Well, I mean, we have a gaggle of professionals who have been here during the whole time, and nobody else raised it either. 7 or 8 different people took the microphone. So while I appreciate it could have slipped your mind, the fact that it collectively slipped everyone's mind, I have a difficult time with. And I would love, had I known that this was going to be an issue, when we had a telephone conversation earlier today, or perhaps an email on Friday, if I had known it was going to be an issue, I would have requested Attorney Shea be here so I could ask him. Or I would have requested the ability to have some time to make a phone call. You know, I feel like I need to dial a friend here. But so now let's get to the heart of it. So now it's a legal issue, right? All right. So I'm reading the land disposition agreement by and between the City of Quincy and Chestnut Place LLC, and I reject your premise, okay, based upon my reading of the LDA. I'll refer to the pertinent pages, starts on page 9 when it discusses parking. Section 12, parking arrangements. A, relationship of the project and the city parking garages, going down to the 4th or 5th sentence. The city acknowledges and agrees, however, that the required spaces shall exclusively serve the project, referring to the O'Connor project, and shall be located in that part of the lower level of the garage attached to the project. It does not say that that is subterranean. That section, and I can't find a section that says it's subterranean. There's one reference to a basement level connection, but it's not a requirement. It simply says that that's in concert with the design of the garage, that's what will happen. Nowhere in this LDA, sir, with all due respect, does it say it has to be subterranean. There's one particular section that says, especially when it's talking about Section 12, parking arrangements, subsection B, design and construction of the garage, subsection I, coordination of construction of the garage and the project. Third sentence says, in part, especially the basement level connections. But all it's referring to is will need to be coordinated with the design, construction, and opening of the project and executed in concert with the design and construction of the integrated components of the project in the garage. It doesn't say that there is a legal requirement that there is an underground connection, just that if there is going to be a basement level connection, it needs to be coordinated with the design, construction, and opening of the project.
It does, however, say in a garage located in part under.
What section are you referring to?
Section 12A, relationship of the project to the city garage.
Mm-hmm.
In order for the project to be operated, it will require approximately no less than 130 parking spaces to be available to its tenants and occupants, the required spaces, in a garage located in part under and in part adjacent to the property, the garage.
So you're saying your reading of that is a strict interpretation that we need to build a subterranean garage?
Well, my interpretation is that that was the intent of the parties. And in a contract, that's important. And if the parties do not agree that it should be altered, one of the parties of the two parties does not agree, that gives that party, I think, the opportunity not to proceed.
Okay, so what's the additional cost to Mr. O'Connell if we build an above-grade garage, an above-ground garage?
I don't know what the additional cost to Mr. O'Connell would be. That's for them to determine.
But I mean, if we're saying that you think he could walk from the LDA, which I don't have enough information to agree, disagree, or take issue with. Okay, I don't know, because again, this is just this is information that's like 5 minutes old that it's in the LDA. But assuming he would only walk if there was some sort of financial difficulty in us not connecting to his basement.
I don't know if that would be his only concern. I think he would have other concerns, and as I
So
say,
what would the other concerns be?
He thought it was important for his parking spaces to be contiguous to his building, and the way that would work is in a subterranean area. Even though it doesn't say subterranean, I think we understand under, and we certainly understood the lower level to mean a basement.
I mean, words have meanings in legal contracts. I don't know that I don't disagree with that, but I don't know that I agree with that. I would like to seek outside counsel's opinion on that. I mean, just reading these sections, the redeveloper shall construct a garage pursuant to the terms of the design-build contract independent of the project. There are mechanisms in place that separate the garage from the LDA.
And there were reasons for that. It was to be built independent because it's going to be priced independently. It's going to be subject to prevailing wage, whereas the private project will not be subject by law to prevailing wage.
So this strikes me as problematic because we were told that it was, it made so much sense for the taxpayer to have Mr. O'Connell design or to build a garage when they were building their building. We were told there was going to be significant savings in both time and resources. And now we're presented with an $8 million increase in cost simply to meet his choice, presumably, for the garage to service the entire community that the taxpayer is paying for.
It wasn't his choice. It was a mutual choice. It had mutuality of consideration.
Okay. Well, I mean, so are we done with the preliminary design?
Mr. Wilson, we done with the preliminary design?
We've done the functional concepts.
So we're done with the preliminary design?
Functional concepts, yes, very early preliminary design.
Okay. All right, I mean, I can't, I'll go back to this here. Thank you, Wes. I can't in good conscience take a vote one way or the other without talking to our attorney about this. If now we're talking about contractual language in an agreement that we have with the party, I don't want to jeopardize that. Like again, I go back to what I said to you tonight, which is my goal tonight is to move this project forward. Okay? I did not foresee when I said that this LDA issue was going to be thrown out on the table as a live issue. Otherwise, I would have prepared for it. I believe in good faith that we could move forward with consideration of this tonight, and that we might agree, we might disagree, but in the end, we're going to get something one way or the other. But now, with all due respect, Mr. Chairman, I don't know how, when we're presented saying that, well, if you take this vote, you're essentially going to be in breach of a contract, we don't talk to our attorney first to find out whether that's true or not. I don't fault you for not making arrangements for him to be here, because it wasn't something that any of us knew was going to be thrown onto the desk. That it's, well, you breached the contract if you try and save the taxpayer $8 million. And obviously, that affects my vote on my own amendment. That affects my vote. If we're contemplating that being in breach of contract, then I would not support that. But if it's not in a breach of contract, then I would support it. Just as Councilor LaForest said, she supports saving the taxpayer $8 million, but if it's going to put us in breach of a contract, then we can't do it. So I don't know how this gets a vote. From my perspective, I cannot vote on this tonight, and I would urge that the body hold off on voting on it until we get an opinion from our lawyer as to whether or not it is a breach of contract in the LDA or not. We need the information in order to take a vote.
Just a point of order, Mr. Chairman. Is the amendment being withdrawn?
It is not. No, I still think it's a worthy amendment to save the taxpayers $8 million.
We're going to have a vote and move a vote on the amendment. Have we had a second?
We don't need a second.
We don't need a second tonight? I thought that was just restricted to finance, but that's okay. So are we going to have a vote related to the amendment?
Well, I'm still trying to, again, this is all breaking news to me as well, right? The legal clarification, right?
Well, first off, again, my own reasoning for moving this question this evening to vote on it has absolutely nothing to do with that legal question, although I think it's a very good point that Councilor LaForest probably raises. It has to do what I consider the role of this body to be in relation to the overall part of this project. So we have an amendment, and the question is, are we voting on that amendment? That's my point of order.
I would like to take a recess to see if we can reach our attorney and get him here tonight, and then we'll vote on it. That would be my request then. I think we need to speak to our lawyer to find out whether or not the vote we take would be a breach of contract. I think that's a legitimate request. Had this information been provided to me that this was a violation of the contract of the LDA in a timely fashion, I would have made sure to have an answer to that. Well, again, I'm setting the timetable here.
Councilor Kennedy.
With all due respect, we voted on the LDA. We know what the LDA is. We anticipated that this was going to be, as presented, a first level subterranean project. The new thing is what it is, but these are pieces of information that we were well aware of before. I feel like we're talking in circles somewhat, and hope we're going to move this forward tonight.
I did not know it was going to be a subterranean garage. When I'm given options that it's a subterranean and a non-subterranean. Yeah. Yep.
What would you like to do with your amendment?
I'm not going to withdraw the amendment. If councilors are comfortable voting on it without having this information, that's fine. I'm not comfortable voting on the amendment until we have an answer from our attorney as to whether or not it's legal. If folks want to vote against it, that's fine. They're comfortable that you're not going to breach a contract, but I can't vote yes on it without fully knowing whether or not it breaches a contract. So.
Again, I believe the question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
What's the question?
We're voting on the amendment.
Okay.
We're actually voting on the motion to move the question that Councilor Fenn made.
Yes. Madam Clerk, if you please call the roll.
This is a vote to vote.
Just to move it.
And then we're going to come back and talk about the amendment. And we're going to talk.
No, and then we vote on the amendment.
Yes.
Move the question. Right. Call the roll, please.
Council Kane. Yes. Councilor Sabona. Yes. Council Finn. Councilor Harris. Councilor Forrest.
Yes.
Councilor Liang. Yes. Councilor Palmucci.
Yes.
Councilor Hughes. Yes. Chairman Croall.
Yes.
9 members.
9 members voting in the affirmative. Okay, now we're back to
On the
amendments. Any further discussion on the amendments?
That was no more.
Technicality.
We're just going to vote now.
Councilor Kane.
No.
Councilor DeBona. Councilor Finn. Councilor Harris. Councilor Forrest. Councilor Yang. Councilor Palmucci.
Present.
Councilor Hughes. Chairman Croall.
No.
It fails.
Now, to your original motion, Council Flynn, which is Order 20 for the appropriation of $80 million for Quincy Center District Improvement Program.
On the motion,
On the motion.
I move that we add language that states no expenditure for a parking structure shall exceed $88 a square foot, which again would be consistent with option number 4.
Do we want a point of clarity from folks? I don't know what the math is. That's my point.
That covers option 4. That's why I moved it.
Yep. All right. I see what you're saying. So $87 and
I said $88.
$88. Everybody understand the amendments? Call the roll.
Councilor Kane. Councilor DeBona. No. Councilor Finn. No. Councilor Harris. Councilor Forrest. No. Councilor Liang. Yes. Councilor Palmucci.
Yes.
Councilor Hughes. No. Chairman Croall.
Yes. Motion fails 5-3.
On the motion, I would move to amend the total bond authorization amount from $80 million to $72 million.
Motion on the floor to cut the appropriation from $80 million to $72. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Kane. Councilor DeBona. No. Councilor Finn. No. Councilor Harris. Councilor Forrest. No. Councilor Liang. No. Councilor Palmucci.
Yes.
Councilor Hughes.
Me.
Chairman Croall.
Yes. Motion fails 7 voting in the affirmative, 2 in the nay. All right, back to the original order, which is for the full $80 million authorization. Any discussion with Council Order 2017-073? Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor King. Yes. Councilor DeBona. Yes. Councilor Finn. Yes. Councilor Harris. Yes. Councilor Forrest. Yes. Councilor Liang. Yes. Councilor Palmucci.
No.
Councilor Hughes. Yes. Chairman Croall.
No. Okay, motion passes 7-2. At this point, you saw that one item pending in committee, correct? Thank you, Martha. Okay, so you know there is an item pending in committee right now, which is Council Order 2017. I'm sorry? No. Yeah, 2017-65. If you recall, this was referred back in May, and there was actually apparently a typo on there. Yeah. It's standing in committee as a typo. Correct.
Just this piece of paper. Everything that was submitted to committee has the right. This is Nikki's administrative.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. So, pending in committee is a request for $68,170 to be appropriated for the purposes of the 2017 Downtown Historic Quincy Tour Program. I'm going to recognize the auditor who can just kind of walk us through the mechanics on this because there were some number confusion leading into it. Madam Auditor, please.
Okay. Yes.
In terms of what we're doing, because you'll see the same item appears on tonight's agenda. I just want folks to realize why.
The item that is in committee currently is for $68,170, which is for the 2017 tourism program. Before you can actually vote for this, there's an item on the agenda that you'll need to vote for during the regularly scheduled meeting for the exact amount, $68,170. And what this is doing is it's transferring money from the hotel motel open space account into the tourism account. Once that item has been voted on, then I would recommend moving passage of this order that is in committee.
Okay, so we have to do the committee first.
No.
That's what I was just told. To take this out of committee.
To have a positive recommendation later.
I think it's before this evening.
Yes, it is.
Then we go and pass that this evening, and then simply in reports of committees bring it out.
Explain to me differently, but okay. At this point, I will recess the Finance Committee and we'll go back into the regular City Council meeting.
The agenda, 2017-109, appropriation for $756,046 for year-end transfers.
You do. You do. Okay.
This is a housekeeping matter that we do every year at this time. What we do is we go through every account in the general ledger. We project out what is needed to get us through the end of the fiscal year. This is the amount that is needed to get us through the fiscal year. There is some breakage in the health insurance line, so we are going to take the money from the health insurance line to cover these other line items.
All right, thank you, Madam Auditor. Any discussion? Is a motion to approve by Councilor Croall, seconded by Councilor DeBona. Discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Councilor King. Yes. Councilor Croall. Yes. Councilor DeBona. Yes. Councilor Finn. Yes. Councilor Harris. Councilor LaForest. Yes. Councilor Liang. Yes. Councilor Palmucci. President Hughes.
Yes.
8 members.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is number 2, 2017-110, an appropriation for $40,000 to Inspectional Services, Personal Services from Wetland Protection Fund.
Councilor Croall.
Non-canon. Chairman of the Finance Committee. Madam Auditor, if you want.
Okay, so this particular order here, if you recall back when you voted on the 2017 budget, there was an offset in the Inspectional Services Department. This offset now it's for $40,000. It comes from the Wetlands Protection Fund, and it needs to be voted on in order to make that department whole for the end of the fiscal year.
Great. Thank you, Madam Auditor. Discussion on the motion. Oh, is there a motion by Councilor Croall, seconded by Councilor DeBona on the motion? Any questions? All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor King. Yes. Councilor Croall.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris. Councilor LaForest. Councilor Liang. Councilor Palmucci. President Hughes.
Yes.
8 members. Oh, sorry. 9 members. Next is number 3 on the agenda, 2017-111, an appropriation for $600,000 to traffic parking, alarm, and lighting personal services from reserved for appropriation parking receipts.
Motion to approve by Councilor Croall. On the so motion to approve by Councilor Croall. So can we say that? Can we go there? Yes. Okay. Seconded by Councilor DeBona. Okay, Madam Auditor, and then, or do you wish to speak? You heard first. Okay.
This was an offset that was in the TPAL department under the personal service line. The money comes from the reserve for appropriation. It comes from the parking revenue that comes from the Hancock lot and the Ross garage. Currently, there's $948,000 in that account, and that we used to take $600,000 to cover that offset.
Great. Thank you, Madam Auditor. Councilor King.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you to Madam Auditor, do you have actual receipts of these parking receipts?
Yes, I do.
Can I see them?
I don't have them on me.
Well, I'm just very curious because every year it's the same number each year. I never understand how those are calculated.
Okay.
And I'd like to know, curiously, how collections go.
Okay. I can tell you what we've collected. You know, I can go back as far as you want for collections.
Yeah.
Those two, would you like that information?
Yes, please.
Okay, 1 minute.
Last 5 years would be.
Okay, perfect. Yep. 1 minute.
Great.
Can I just for clarification?
Councilor King.
Through you to Madam Auditor, the $600,000 is the appropriation, however.
Correct.
Not
Yes, it is.
the actual parking receipts.
No, that is the offset that was in the TPAL that we, and generally speaking, years ago, I believe it used to be $1 million, and we reduced it to $700,000. It's been since $600,000 for several years.
Which is the offset. It's not the actual parking receipts.
Correct. It's the offset. I know the receipts, what we've received so far to date. In fiscal 17, we've received $512,176. Last year, we received $726,019. I know in fiscal 15, we've received $684,000. I do have other information for the remaining.
Can I just, but to be clear, the offset is actually built into the budget.
Yes, it is.
We're not giving him any new.
No, we're not giving him anything. This is built into the budget. Fiscal 14, Fiscal 14, we collected $745,281. Fiscal 13, $726. Fiscal 12, $675. So we collect anywhere between $800,000 and $600,000 for the last 10 years.
Sorry, through you, Madam President, to Madam Auditor. So do you know where those numbers come from, or do you just have an overall number?
As far as a breakdown on where we get it?
Yeah.
I do have a breakdown as far as what comes from Ross Garage and what comes from Hancock Lot.
As itemized as possible, can you please provide me the last 5 years numbers? And that's, whether they're from tickets, whether they're from the parking garages, whether they're from meters. I'm just very curious how revenue for TPAL comes in.
Do you want me to start with fiscal 13?
Sure, please.
Okay, fiscal 13.
You don't need to give it to me now.
Okay.
If you can prepare it later.
I will have that to you in the morning.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Again, for the sake of clarity, Madam President, through you to the auditor, when we're talking about parking receipts, we're talking about the garages that we're trying.
So this money comes from parking revenue from Ross Garage and Hancock Lot, which also includes the monthly pass holders.
So when we're talking about overall receipts, if the so-called ticketing and different things, that's in a different account.
So parking tickets is from a different account. It's revenue that's received and goes automatically into the general fund.
And the only reason I'm just saying this is because, again, with all the issues with parking, particularly around some of the development issues and everything, people really seem to get those confused.
Yes.
So
the parking tickets, that money goes into the general fund. Mm-hmm. And any parking revenues from the two lots, we put that into a special reserve account, and that is the revenue that's used to cover this offset that's in the TPAL budget. That's voted on every budget cycle.
On the appropriation, Madam Clerk.
Councilor King.
Yes.
Councilor Croall.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris. Councilor LaForest. Yes. Councilor Liang. Councilor Palmucci. Yes. President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members.
Number 4 on the agenda, 2017-112, an appropriation for $46,970.38 to Park Dept, Personal Services for Community Preservation Fund Administration.
Motion to approve.
Okay. This particular request for an appropriation is an offset that is currently in the Park Department budget. The appropriation does cover the salary of the Community Preservation Administrator.
Okay. Motion to approve, Councilor Croall, seconded by Councilor DeBona. On the motion?
Councilor Kane.
Yes.
Councilor Croall.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris. Yes. Councilor LaForest. Yes. Councilor Liang. Councilor Palmucci. President Hughes.
Yes.
8 members. Next on the agenda, number 5, 2017-113, an appropriation for $40,000 to Quincy Historical Society tourism from Hotel Motel Tax.
Move approval.
Motion to approve by Councilor Croall, seconded by Councilor DeBona. On the motion, Madam Clerk?
Councilor King. Yes. Councilor Croall.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris. Councilor LaForest. Councilor Liang. Councilor Palmucci.
Yes.
President Hughes.
Yes.
8 members. Next is number 6, 2017-114, an appropriation for $200,000 to Discover Quincy Chamber of Commerce, tourism from Hotel Motel Tax.
Okay.
Motion
Motion to approve, Councilor Croall, seconded by Councilor DeBona. On the motion?
Councilor Kane.
Yes.
Councilor Croall.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris.
Yes.
Councilor LaForest. Councilor Liang. Councilor Palmucci.
Yes.
President Hughes.
Yes.
8 members. Next on the agenda, number 7, 2017-115, an appropriation, Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E1/2, set as a limit of $100,000, which may be expended in fiscal year 2018 from the DPW revolving account.
Councilor Croall.
Thank you, Madam President. It's pretty standard transfer every year. So with that, I would move approval.
Okay, motion to approve, Councilor Croall, seconded by Councilor Finn. Okay. On the motion, Madam Clerk.
Councilor Kane.
Yes.
Councilor Croall.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris. Councilor LaForest. Councilor Liang. Councilor Palmucci.
Yes.
President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members. And next is number 8, appropriation, Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E1/2, setting the limit for $150,000, which may be expended in fiscal year 2018 from the DPW Drainage Consulting Inspection and Maintenance Fees revolving account.
Yeah.
That's Malta. Thank you, Madam President. Similar fashion, standard transfer that we do every year.
Motion to approve by Councilor Croall, seconded by Councilor Finn. Yes?
Yes.
8. On the motion.
Councilor Kane.
Yes.
Councilor Croall.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris. Councilor LaForest.
Yes.
Councilor Liang. Councilor Palmucci. President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members. Number 9 on the agenda, 2017-117, an appropriation, Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E1/2, setting the limit $300,000, which may be expended in fiscal year 2017 for recreation revolving account.
Motion.
Motion to approve by Councilor Croall.
Point of order.
Yes, Councilor Finn.
Curious, all the others are talking about FY 2018. This has a thing for FY 2017. Is that a mistake?
It's a typo.
All right.
Excuse me, 2018.
All right.
Okay. Seconded by Councilor Finn. On the motion.
Counselor King.
Yes.
Counselor Croall.
Yes.
Counselor DeBona.
Yes.
Counselor Finn.
Yes.
Counselor Harris. Counselor LaForest. Counselor Liang. Counselor Palmucci. President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members. Number 10 on the agenda, 2017-118, an appropriation for $8,000 to the Health Department pump out vote from free cash.
Motion to approve by Councilor Croall, seconded by Councilor LaForest. On the motion.
Thank you, Madam President. I did speak with Health Commissioner Shealy. This is a service provided to our voters. He expects operations to commence in early July. Voting season obviously is underway and quite popular with the Sale of Boston festivities this past weekend. So we are looking to start. This is a pump out that comes direct to the voters. There are public pump out facilities available. The information is posted, but just to clarify that this usually is already started by now. I have been getting some phone calls about it.
Okay.
So stay tuned to July. Thank you.
Thank you. It explains why I don't know what it is. I don't know. I'm not a voting person.
I have never seen in all of my life on the water this vote underway. So I do have some questions I talked to Mr. Shealy about. However.
All right. Thank you, Councilor LaForest. On the motion, Madam Clerk.
Counselor King.
Yes.
Counselor Croall.
Yes.
Counselor DeBona.
Yes.
Counselor Finn.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor LaForest. Counselor Liang. Counselor Palmucci. President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members.
Oh. Thank you.
Number 11 on the agenda, 2017-119, an appropriation for $400,000 to the snow and ice I knew I was going to mess up. The Immerization accounts from free cash.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to move approval and also commend the administration for using that free cash to basically square up and further be rid of the obligations that we have to, and we'll see it in the next item as well, the ever-looming snow and ice deficit. So with that, I would like to make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilor Croall, seconded by Councilor Palmucci. Councilor Palmucci on the motion.
Yes, Madam Auditor, is this, where is this money coming from?
This money is coming from free cash. Currently, the third payment to reduce for that deficit is due this year. I believe it's over $3.5 million. So this $400,000 is going to be used to reduce that.
The thing we're not using to offset for next. So this is different than the $400,000 that we utilized on the surprise option we were presented with the night we set the tax. Or this is it. This is
this year is reducing that. So at tax rate seasons, when we're going through doing all our housekeeping, that the deficit, I believe it's 3.5 something. That this deficit will be, lowered by $400,000.
Due to the mayor's representative. Is this another $400,000, or is this the $400,000 we already talked about?
Through you,
Yeah.
Madam President.
Yeah.
This is $400,000 off the last year's.
I know what it is, but I'm sorry if I'm not being clear. The night we set the tax rate,
My recollection,
$400,000 to buy down that rate.
No.
That's $400,000 or is this an addition?
I think it was several million.
Yeah.
This is total amount, not the buy down. Explain it, because I might be mistaken.
At tax rate time, jogging my memory, the original proposal from the administration for the tax levy was to include the entirety of what was left in the 2015 deficit. So it was 2 years worth of deficit. Seeing the effect that may have had on the tax bills, we worked with the council to eliminate that piece of that proposal and carried forward the final years, paid off the year that we owed, the 3.7, carried forward the 3.7 to the final year of the scheduled payment plan.
Okay. It wasn't 400 that we paid at that time. Okay, that's where I'm mistaken in terms of what this. So this is just an extra payment on that debt then, Madam Auditor?
So back in December of 2016, this council voted to reduce year 2 of the snow and ice amortization of $3,707,786. So this $400,000 that you are voting on is going to reduce year 3. So I'm assuming then that year 3 is probably around $3.7 million. So you'll reduce the 3.7 by $100,000.
So this is an extra payment out of what we have left.
Yes, it is.
To tackle a next year problem before.
Correct.
To say that. Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it, everyone. Thank you for speaking very slow, Mr. Walker. Helpful.
Madam Clerk.
Councilor King. Yes. Councilor Croall. Yes. Councilor DeBona. Yes. Councilor Finn. Yes. Councilor Harris. Yes. Councilor LaFarge. Yes. Councilor Liang. Yes. Councilor Palmucci. Yes. President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members. Next is number 12 on the agenda, 2017-120, an appropriation for $1,050,441.73 to the snow and ice deficit for various accounts.
Councilor Croall.
Thank you, Madam President. Similar fashion, but it's actually for this year's snow and ice deficit. So, again. Yep.
Yes, Councilor DeBona, second.
No, second, I want to talk on the motion.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to, so our last payment of our third and final payment of the snow and ice deficit that we had that terrible storm some years ago was 3.7. So we're paying down 1.05. No, this is this year, past year. So what we did at tax rate is we had originally a $456 increase, and we deferred that 3.7 this past year and dropped it down to $356 on the average homeowner of $397. Is that correct? If I could, to the auditor, to the president, to the mayor's representative.
Through you, Madam President, that is correct, Council.
Okay, so we're starting to pay down this. What we did is we delayed it. We obviously had it to our tax season, and everybody was going to pay $456. Is that correct? And then we dropped this off. So where is the other funding going to come from that's left over here?
That's as we have the last several years, Councilor. That's the end of the tax rate setting time of the year decision. My sense is that we'll be in a pretty good spot free cash wise this coming year, as we have been in past years. There's never been a snow and ice deficit that we haven't tackled with or been able to tackle with some of that free cash at the tax rate setting time. And we anticipate that a good chunk of this final year, now that chunk is down to 3.3.3 million, that's going to make it a little bit easier. It was our financial advisors that said, it's better to get this down before the end of the current fiscal year. It shows a better balance in the books as opposed to waiting until free cash gets certified during the tax rate setting time, and to do it now. So that's the onus of these proposals here. I will note that the appropriation before you now that's actually this year's snow deficit. So that's an added benefit. That's something we won't be dealing with in the fall because we have the available money within existing funding that we don't have to worry about this year's deficit.
This is all good to my ears, to be honest with you, because for me, fiscally conservative, paying down debt that we have with these various accounts and free cash is what I like to hear. So thank you so much.
Thank you. On the motion, Madam Clerk.
Councilor King. Yes. Councilor Croall. Councilor DeBona. Yes. Councilor Finn. Yes. Councilor Harris. Councilor LaFarge. Yes. Councilor Liang. Yes. Councilor Palmucci. President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members. Number 13 on the agenda is 2017-121, an appropriation for $1,550,172 from Sewer Enterprise Fund free cash to Sewer Enterprise Account Stabilization Account.
Councilor Croall.
Thank you. I don't know if Madam Auditor wants to speak to it, but
Okay, so in November of 2016, The sewer free cash was certified by the Department of Revenue at $1,555,172. Per the advice of the outside auditors, they feel that it's a good policy procedure to increase your reserves. So generally speaking, this department has moved each year whatever they get certified by free cash into their reserves, into their stabilization. As of today, there was $1,712,272.41 in the sewer stabilization account.
Okay. Seconded by Council Finn on the motion.
Council King.
No, wait a minute.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Council Lang. That's okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the auditor, just a quick question on the third line item, the veterans benefits. It says here that there's $300,000 that's going to be taken from the veterans benefits of which you, is that?
So we're talking about the
Number
previous
12.
order?
No, we're on number 12, right?
We're on 13, the sewer
I
enterprise.
apologize, I was one behind on this. All right, never mind. My mistake.
Okay. Madam Clerk.
Council King. Yes. Council Croall. Council DeBona. Yes. Council Finn. Yes. Council Harris. Council LaForest. Council Liang. Council Palmucci. President Hughes.
Yes.
None members. Next is number 14 on the agenda, 2017-122, an appropriation for $68,170 from hotel motel tax open space to hotel motel tax tourism.
Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. President. This was the moment everyone was waiting for when I tried to bring it out in the regularly scheduled Finance Committee. So, please, and I'd like to move approval.
Okay, motion to approve by Councilor Croall, seconded by Councilor DeBona on the motion. Madam Clerk.
Council King.
Yes.
Council Croall.
Yes.
Council DeBona.
Yes.
Council Finn.
Yes.
Council Harris. Council LaForest. Council Liang. Council Palmucci. President Hughes.
Yes.
7 members. Number 15 on the agenda, 2017-123, appropriation for $73,200 state match for Seaport Economic Council grant from Squantum Point Pier Ferry from hotel motel tax open space.
Okay. To approve. Yes. Councilor Croall. On the, would you be a second? Oh, okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Second, Councilor Finn. On the motion.
What is it that this is exactly funding? I'm not sure.
Is this Councilor? Auditor, Madam Auditor.
What this is the city's portion. Is a Seaport Economic Council grant for the Squantum Point Ferry, and this is the city's portion that is required.
I guess the one question I have is, I know I've raised it in the past, is in terms of moving forward to addressing the concerns structurally, because again, we have spent money in the past and it's gone. And I just want to make certain that those questions are being addressed. Perhaps through you, I see Mr. Walker. Acknowledge
Yes.
Yes, through you, Madam President. That's exactly what this money, this grant funding is for, Councilor. This is to get to the level of full design and permitting for the full reconstruction and compliance issues at the pier. As you mentioned, we've been sort of piecemealing it together through the pilot programs that we're doing now. Any long-term permanent ferry service is going to require the full reconstruction and the ADA compliance at the pier. And this grant will get us to 90% design of those.
No, are we doing this this is going to be in collaboration with
DCR.
And with Winthrop, or with
with the Winthrop.
So this is separate. This is
Eventually we're going to have the best ferry service.
I'll support it 100%. No problem. Okay. Happy to second that.
Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Council King.
Yes.
Council Croall. Council DeBona. Yes. Council Finn. Yes. Council Harris. Council LaForest. Yes. Council Liang. Council Palmucci?
Yes.
President Hughes?
Yes.
9 members. Next is number 16, 2017-124, order designating the polling places for the September and November elections.
Okay. Madam Clerk, do you wish to speak to this?
I would just like to say that there is one change happening in Ward 1, Precinct 2. We will be relocating down to O'Brien Towers at 73 Bicknell Street. We find that it is more suitable for the voters. So with that.
Okay, and I just wanted to ask a question of the auditor. I know folks in Ward 5, Precinct 2, we've discussed this in the past. I know those folks who are in that area that vote there from 80 Clay and 91 Clay express, difficulty walking down the stairs into the church. That's a busy corner. Can you just update us? I know it's there again. But can you update us on your search for a new
I can.
location?
Thank you, Madam President. I have reached out to a couple of different places within Ward 5, Precinct 2, looking for a suitable replacement. And so far, I have not succeeded, but I have not given up. So for right now, I felt the right thing to do was to move this forward, and if something should come available over the summer, I will certainly let you all know and reach out to the Secretary of the Commonwealth and notify him and the voters.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, Councilor Ken.
Thank you, Madam President, for raising this specific issue because it's one, again, I also hear constantly about. And again, it's specifically there's a number of seniors, I think, that vote in that particular area, and they find it sometimes kind of difficult to navigate. So
I have reached out to the Quincy Housing Authority, and the problem with their 80 and 91 Clay there are their community rooms are on the 11th floor. So that poses a big problem. I did reach out to a couple other places, and they just weren't really willing to do it at this point. But I haven't given up, and I'm still looking.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Just so people are aware, they don't have to take us. This is not we can't make them take a polling place. People sometimes think that, we can do that, but unfortunately, we can't make people take us if they don't want us. So I appreciate you looking into who does, right? But anyway, thank you very much. With that, I'd ask for a motion from Councilor Ivana, seconded by Councilor Croall, on the motion, Madam Clerk.
Councilor King. Councilor Croall.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris. Councilor LaForest. Councilor Liang. Councilor Palmucci. President Hughes.
Yes.
8 members. Number 17 on the agenda, 2017-125, order of a home rule petition, an act authorizing the City of Quincy to classify as commercial property apartment buildings having 50 or more units.
All right, motion with the reading. Councilor Palmucci.
If I may, this actually, Council President Hughes, originally germinated, the kernel of the idea germinated with something that you had done, I believe it was a resolution, I don't know if it was this session or last session, that a resident had brought to you to petition the council with. And a number of us have discussed this a couple of times up here in relative to tax matters and during Finance Committee meetings. But so what this is a home rule petition that would allow Quincy to be the first and only municipality to tax large-scale residential complexes as businesses rather than as residences. Currently, the tax rate that a single-family homeowner pays in taxes is the same rate that these 200, 300, 400 unit apartment buildings pay on value. Obviously, they're going to pay more because it's more valuable, but it's the same rate. The premise of this is that those are not, although those are residences, those are businesses that are engaged in the business of providing residences. Therefore, the owners should be taxed at the commercial rate, the same rate that every other business occupied property in the city, the same rate that every other business in the city pays. We can't do this on our own. We don't have the legal authority to do so. So this is a home rule petition asking the legislature to give the city of Quincy the authority to tax any buildings, any apartment buildings having 50 or more units as a commercial entity rather than a residential entity. And just for clarification's sake, there's a piece in here that says it doesn't apply to condominiums. So regardless of the size of the condominium complex, it's differently because it's treated differently because each one's independently owned. That'll continue to be treated as a residential should this pass. And it actually goes hand in hand with the other resolution I have tonight. But my requests, they go together, the two matters go together in an effort to try and save the taxpayers, the residential homeowners who live in our city money on their taxes. So I'd ask that this be referred to committee.
Okay. So this will be referred to ordinance and public housing, or
Finance,
housing.
perhaps.
Ordinance and housing, or finance and housing. Finance and housing, we'll say. Joint referral. Thank you very much, Councilor Palmucci. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Number 18, 2017-126, a gift for $450,000 from various donors for DIF.
Councilor Croall.
I'd like to make a motion to approve and make sure that we describe a note, letter of thanks to the donor.
Motion to approve by Councilor Croall, seconded by Councilor DeBona on the motion.
Councilor King.
Yes.
Councilor Crowe.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris. Yes. Councilor LaForest. Yes. Councilor Liang. Yes. Councilor Palmucci.
Yes.
President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members. Next, number 19, 2017-127, a gift for $4,680 from various donors for Deer Camp.
Councilor Crowe.
Similar fashion, move approval and send a letter acknowledging the gift.
Yes.
Okay. Motion by Councilor Croall, seconded by Councilor DeBona on the motion, Madam Clerk.
Councilor King.
Yes.
Councilor Crowe.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris.
Yes.
Councilor LaForest. Yes. Councilor Liang. Yes. Councilor Palmucci.
Yes.
President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members. Next is number 20, 2017-128, a resolve, creation of residence property tax exemption.
Waive the reading.
Councilor Palmucci.
Yeah, I don't know how Deere jumped ahead of me in the 2 filings that I made simultaneously, but they were able to squeeze in that. This resolution, 2017-128, goes hand in hand with the home rule petition. The thought process is that if we are able to collect additional revenues from these large residential developments across the city, that we can then pass on savings to the residents who own and live in single-family houses in the city. There are, while the number is few in terms of the number of over 50 apartment building structures in the city, the increase in tax revenue that home rule petition, should it be authorized by the legislature and should the body accept it, that would increase tax revenue by approximately $12 million. Not every single-family residence or condo in the city is occupied by its owner. So this resolution, which would, again, building upon what Council President Hughes first raised some time ago, this would create something similar to what Boston has, which is an exemption. If you own and live in your house in Quincy, you would get a tax break. And it would be funded with it would be funded in an exemption, so a tax break. It would be funded with the increased tax revenue from the large developments that already exist in the city. The city of Boston has something similar to this, and I recall shortly after we voted on our tax rate in December, there's an article in the Globe and the Herald. The very next day, the city of Boston announced a lowering of taxes for residents of Boston who own and occupy their homes. And I got a couple of phone calls of people saying, I watched a meeting last night, how come you guys aren't doing this? This would create such a measure. Right now, I don't think we have any funding source to provide this tax cut, but if we are, if that home rule petition is allowed and authorized, that would provide a funding source whereby I believe, based on the number of older occupant houses in the city of Quincy, in condos, we'd be able to give a $300 or $400 tax break to folks. Residents constantly ask me, where are the benefits of the development of the city from me? What's the benefit? I sit in more traffic, my roads are more run down. Where's the benefit to me? I think this would provide that benefit, that the development happening in the city would provide a direct benefit and lower the taxes for folks who live and own their properties in the city. So I don't know. This can wait, or I guess we could wait and we do it together, the two measures together. So I would refer this to the city.
Refer to finance and housing again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 21 on the agenda, 2017-129.
Okay, motion to waive the reading. Councilor Harris.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Obviously, this is going to go to committee, so we just move it on.
Which committee would you like to refer to?
I guess it would be ordinance.
No, let's refer it to education. Sounds good.
And community engagement.
Community engagement, I think, too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Because obviously, this came out probably surprised a few folks on the council. It's not fair to them to ask for tonight's vote. So.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councilor Harris. And that will end our formal agenda for this evening. At this time, we'll move to approval of previous meeting minutes. In front of you will be the minutes of June 5th, 2017. Motion to approve by Councilor Liang, seconded by Councilor Forrest. All those in favor? Aye. The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Communications and reports from the mayor, other city offices, city boards. Madam Clerk.
I do have a communication received by my office today from Attorney General Maura Healey to Solicitor Timmons. It is in regards to an open meeting law complaint. Specifically, the complaint alleges that the council discussed and voted on an item during the December 5th, 2016 meeting that was not listed on the meeting notice. And after the review of the Attorney General, following her review, they found that the council did not violate the open meeting law. And I believe you all got a copy of this.
We did.
And so I will put it in the open meeting law file.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any unfinished business with the preceding meeting? Okay. Reports of committees. Councilor Croall.
Hello. Pending in Finance Committee, Council Order 2017-65, which is that appropriation of $68,170 from Hotel Motel Tax for 2017. Yeah, the year 2017 tourism program. So take that out of committee, place before the body. We've had some discussion on this and would motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilor Croall, seconded by Councilor LaForest. On the motion, Madam Clerk.
Councilor Kane.
Yes.
Councilor Croall.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Kane.
Yes.
Councilor Harris.
Yes.
Councilor LaForest.
Yes.
Councilor Liang. Councilor Palmucci. President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members.
So we have pending in committee after a very lengthy deliberation, Council Order 2017-073, which is the appropriation for $80 million for the downtown improvement finance.
Okay, motion to approve by Councilor Croall, seconded by Councilor DeBona. On the motion, Madam Clerk.
Councilor King.
Yes.
Councilor Croall.
No.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris. Councilor LaForest. Councilor Liang. Councilor Palmucci. President Hughes.
Yes.
7 members.
I think that's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Croall. Councilor LaForest.
We have a list of traffic requests pending. In Ward 1, Council Order 2017-102, add 2 stop signs on Barber Terrace, westbound and eastbound intersecting with Moffett Road. I move positive recommendation.
Positive recommendation by Councilor LaForest, seconded by Councilor Harris. On the motion.
Councilor King.
Yes.
Councilor Croall.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris. Councilor LaForest.
Yes.
Councilor Liang.
Yes.
Councilor Palmucci. President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members.
Also in Ward 1, Council Order 2017-103, add 2 stop signs on Barber Terrace, westbound and eastbound intersecting with Homer Road. I move positive recommendation.
Positive recommendation by Councilor LaForest, seconded by Councilor Liang. On the motion.
Councilor King.
Yes.
Councilor Croall.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris.
Yes.
Councilor LaForest.
Yes.
Councilor Liang.
Yes.
Councilor Palmucci. President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members.
Okay, in Ward 1, Council Order 2017-104, add 2-hour parking on the east side of Hancock Street, utility pole number 131 to 60 feet south of Butler Road. I move positive recommendation.
Positive recommendation by Councilor LaForest, seconded by Councilor Liang. On the motion.
Councilor King. Councilor Croall.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris. Councilor LaForest.
Yes.
Councilor Liang.
Yes.
Councilor Palmucci.
Yes.
President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members.
And in Ward 5, Council Order 2017-105, add handicap parking at 126 Cedar Street. I move positive recommendation.
Positive recommendation by Councilor LaForest, seconded by Councilor Liang. On the motion.
Councilor King.
Yes.
Councilor Croall. Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris. Councilor LaForest.
Yes.
Councilor Liang.
Yes.
Councilor Palmucci.
Yes.
President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members.
Also in Ward 5, Council Order 2017-106, add no parking on the west side of Hancock Street, Gilmore Street to 40 feet north of Gilmore Street. I move positive recommendation.
Positive recommendation, Councilor LaForest, seconded by Councilor Liang. On the motion.
Councilor King.
Yes.
Councilor Croall.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris. Councilor LaForest.
Yes.
Councilor Liang.
Yes.
Councilor Palmucci.
Yes.
President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members.
Okay, in Ward 5, Council Order 2017-107, add handicap parking at 227 Marlborough Street. I move positive recommendation.
Positive recommendation by Councilor LaForest, seconded by Councilor Liang. On the motion.
Councilor King.
Yes.
Councilor Croall.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris.
Yes.
Councilor LaForest.
Yes.
Councilor Liang.
Yes.
Councilor Palmucci.
Yes.
President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members.
Our last one in Ward 6, Council Order 2017-108, to remove a no parking on the east side of Baysay Road, Quincy Shore Drive to 100 feet north of Quincy Shore Drive. I move positive recommendation.
Positive recommendation, Councilor LaForest, seconded by Councilor Liang. On the motion.
Councilor King.
Yes.
Councilor Croall.
Yes.
Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris.
Yes.
Councilor LaForest.
Yes.
Councilor Liang.
Yes.
Councilor Palmucci.
Yes.
President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members.
Councilor, okay, great, thank you. Thank you very much, Councilor LaForest. Yes, Councilor Croall.
Quickly, as it relates to the Senior Citizens Committee, we meaning the Quincy Police Department, was very gracious in their willingness to help several of us facilitate the in-building senior prescription drop-off day this past week. It's an issue and initiative that I took up, probably 5 years now, and it's been a tremendous amount of success allowing senior citizens who live in the high-rise residential apartment complexes to dispose of unwarranted or outdated medications literally in the comfort of their own home. But that absolutely would not be possible without the the commitment and help of the Quincy Police Department and also the City Council staff who helps with the scheduling and coordination. So I just want to take a moment and thank everyone for another successful year and helping us to pull this off. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Croall. At this time, we'd call for petitions, memorials, or remonstrance. No? Oh, okay. Councilor Finn.
This is a remonstrance, but it's driving me crazy the last couple of weeks is that the clock.
It is wrong, I noticed it. Yes, yes.
Wondering if it gives me false hope every time I get up there.
I know.
So I'm just hoping we might be able to get the time adjusted.
I agree.
We have a call in.
Motions, orders, or resolutions? Okay. Yes, Councilor Palmucci.
I wanted to just quick remonstrate. I had the opportunity to bump into an employee of Clancy Brothers Extermination over the weekend, and it was a Sunday, and this individual was out filling bait traps for rats, rat bait traps throughout the city. And I was out for a walk with my daughter, and I saw what he was doing and had a conversation with him. But this individual, first of all, Quincy Brothers doing a great job. I know this council had approved money that the health department had requested for additional baiting for the rat problem that continues in the city. But the folks at Clancy Brothers doing a great job. I mean, the guy out there on a Sunday on Father's Day filling bait stations, and he indicated to me that he was shocked when they started doing the work for the city. He was shocked at how bad the rat problem was, and it brings me joy to know that they're out there on a Sunday trying to knock down that problem. And just wanted to thank them, the health department, for the work that they do in addressing the rat concern and the work that the administration and Mayor Koch has done also in trying to combat the rat issue. So.
Yeah, terrible.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Councilor Palmucci. Scheduling of committee meetings and public hearings. This is officially our last, I think. So we'll maybe perhaps talk about some other things. Did you want to talk about that now? I don't know.
So with that introduction, I'd like to make everyone aware that we'll be back in the room next Monday for a special city council meeting to talk about the second half of the downtown, which will be the property acquisitions. So again, I know that the committee has worked extremely hard. I appreciate your patience and understanding, and also the debate that's come out of these sessions. I know we've had a lot on our plate, but I do believe we're putting ourselves in the best position possible to request as much information, ask questions, and make informed decisions. So with that being said, we'll be back here next Monday, which would be the 26th.
Yes. I believe we may be starting earlier than our normal time, but that will go out. Yes, 6:30.
6:30.
Yeah. 6:30.
So
we're going to schedule it as a regular council meeting.
Next Monday, the 26th.
At 6:30.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Councilor Finn.
A reminder that a special meeting, the agenda is set. You can add nothing to that, just to be perfectly clear so everyone's aware of that.
Okay. Yes, Councilor Palmucci.
It's to you, if it's going to be a council meeting, if we could find out perhaps through the administration if there are going to be any contractual issues that are raised or legal issues that we have advance notice so that we could have our attorneys here.
Sure.
Thanks.
I will ask them so we don't have to adjourn the meeting and run to the pump.
Yeah, right.
Right, I know. Okay. Anything further for the good of the order? Nothing. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn from Councilor Palmucci, seconded by Councilor Forrest. All those in favor? Aye, the ayes have it. Thank you very much, everybody. Good night. Good night. Good night.
End with a win.